Well, the state of Wisconsin is under new leadership.
Republican Scott Walker took the oath of office this afternoon. He is Wisconsin's 45th governor. And UW political scientist Charles Franklin is here. Welcome back.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
A new Republican governor and Republicans taking over both houses in the state house. This is a big change.
Yep. The signs are up. New management has moved in. And with the special session of the legislature coming up now almost immediately, and Governor now no longer governor-elect, but Governor Walker, ready to put forward his proposals for changing a variety of things. We're going to have a very active January and February, at least, as the legislature deals with those things. And that's before we get to the budget bills for the next 2 years.
You see some comparisons in Scott Walker's election win and President Obama's win.
Yeah, it's ironic that you would compare the two, but you know, President Obama came in with a big victory. He swept in Democrats behind him in the Congress, and he spent 2 years bringing about big change. You may or may not like what he did, but the number of bills, major bills that were passed over the last 2 years has been an important part of his administration. Now, Governor Walker comes in with at least as big, if not a bigger landslide, taking over both houses of the legislature and his own win, promising equally big change, though in a conservative direction. A lot of his supporters voted for that conservative change and are really hoping that he moves government in that more conservative direction. And by getting 52% of the vote, he got the right to do it. And so I think the interesting part will be in 2 years, we'll be able to look back and ask, is the state better off than it was when this started? In the same way that voters in the fall looked back and asked of Barack Obama, are we better off than 2 years ago? So we'll have a couple of years of rock'em sock'em action here, and then the voters will get to look and see if they're very happy with the way things have gone, or if they want yet another course correction.
So 2 years from now, it could be a different story altogether. He wants to go after the state employees union contract, and that's going to affect a lot of people in Dane County, and he did not do well in Dane County. This is going to be some backlash here.
Now, here in Dane County, where we're a strongly Democratic area and a lot of state employees, and let's be fair, I'm a state employee too, so everybody should know I have a dog in this fight. You know, there's a lot of concern about that from state employees' point of view. But from Walker's point of view, controlling the budget, getting a grip on it, we've been in a series of budget crises since 2000, 2001 with the structural deficit, the difficult economy, and so on. He has said one of his major goals is to set that structural deficit right and to do it without new taxes. And so you start looking at where that comes, and employee benefits and salaries is one area. But also the big boost for business is the other side. The Wisconsin's open for business has been his theme. And we're going to see a lot of changes in regulation of business and other tax and incentives to help business grow. And again, we'll see how that balance works out. But I think state workers are understandably concerned when they heard him say today that state government should do only what is necessary and not extra stuff. And that's absolutely consistent with a conservative view of government and with the idea that we shrink government rather than expand it through new taxes. So that's the platform. That's what voters voted for, and that's what they got. You know, the beauty of this is the majority does rule. We shift pretty dramatically, sometimes to Obama, sometimes to Walker. And then a couple of years later, we get to make up our minds again.
Well, it was all about jobs. He said at the inauguration today he wants to create 250,000 new jobs. So how, and then there are situations like the train. How do you reconcile those two things?
The 250,000 is a very bold promise. During the first 4 years of Doyle's term, during a time when the economy was only expanding nationally, we only grew 100,000 jobs in those 4 years. But during the 90s, during Tommy Thompson's term and Bill Clinton's term as president, we grew about 250,000 every 4 years. So it's doable, but it was doable in the 90s. It has not yet been doable in the last decade.
We'll see what happens. As you say, it's going to be a very busy couple of months. Strike while the iron's hot, correct?
Yes.
All right, Charles. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Charles.
Good to be here.
See you. Happy New Year.